When I am interviewing interns or full-time engineers as they're coming out of school, um, I'm asked a lot of questions about what it's like to work at Root3 Labs and why they might be interested in doing that, and how do we assign projects and what are they going to be doing and things. So I figured I'd create a video of what we see as the most generic roles for them. So as a as an intern starting out, we don't know exactly what projects you might be working on, but you get to work on everything that's coming in the door. Interns are part of the team. They work with the engineers. They are supported by the engineers and senior staff. They are given individual tasks to do. They have a role on the team. They're part of client meetings. They're meeting with their peers and colleagues on the project. It's a very collaborative environment. We generally work in teams on projects. There's very few, if not none, not zero, projects that we work individually on. Most projects have a project manager, and then the engineers that are doing the technical work could be from multiple disciplines, depending on what's needed for that project. So the interns are working with engineers. They're expected to do their own tasks, and they're not duplicating work. We don't create specific intern projects. What they're working on is what brings revenue in the door. And so they do have supervision. They are interns. They're expected to have a basis in engineering. You're not expected to know everything, though. You're expected to be solving problems. And the thread that really ties in all the work that we do is our ability to solve problems. We are focused on identifying what those problems are, figuring out solutions, and building those out. So that's your job. One of the things interns and young engineers struggle with is how long should they struggle on a problem before they ask for help. We tend, there's basic guidelines that we just offer, but it's really a fine line, and you're really meant to figure it out for whatever the problem may be. Sometimes it may be an hour, sometimes it may be four. It just depends on what you're working on and how big the problem is, and could you figure it out on your own? Do you need a tip from an engineer? You probably should not be struggling for more than 4 hours before you ask for help. And maybe four is too much. Maybe an hour is too much. Um, it just depends on what it is. But what we don't want is every time you come across something that is hard to figure out, that you start asking for help from senior engineers or your peers. Um, we expect that you will struggle. This is a problem solving company. This is basically what we do. So we expect you to struggle with a solution. That is your job. You might struggle more than a senior engineer, and that's okay. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get the answer on the first go round. Um, it's a very iterative process, and I think iterate is the most common word in product development. So you get support. You can learn new things. You will learn new things. You'll learn in a collaborative environment. You will be supported and encouraged, and you will mess things up, and you will learn. And that is basically what our job is. We do try to give our interns as much experience in the various things we do um, throughout the summer. Um, you'll work on a variety of projects. You may work on more projects than a typical engineer might, just because you want to gain exposure to different projects. So we can't guarantee the types of work that we'll be doing that summer, or spring or fall or whenever. We can't guarantee which parts of the projects you may be working on at that time. But we do try to do is expose you to as many parts of the projects as we can, as well as many tools as you'd like to use. We have a full machine shop and wood shop and 3D printers and laser cutters and vinyl cutters and electronics workshop and sewing and things like that. So if you want to learn how to weld for an hour, that's great. If you want to learn how to use the mill or the wood shop, if you're a computer engineer and you want to learn how to cut vinyl stickers, that's cool too. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you have access to this shop, and it interests you, then we will try to show you how to use many of the tools in our workshop. It's often beneficial just from a cross-disciplinary perspective to know what each other is working on. Just like I think our mechanical engineers should know how to program, at least basically, so that you can understand what you're talking about when you're talking to a computer engineer or computer science or programming. Um, what does your day look like? Typically, an engineer is working on maybe half their day or half their week is on calculations, talking to vendors, designing, figuring out and planning what they're going to be doing, um, understanding maybe what off the shelf things there might be or what custom things you might need to be making, talking with the other members of your team. And then the other half is going to be working with prototypes, either just building those prototypes, getting parts made in the workshop, or changing parts or troubleshooting, or you might be refining code or getting something to work better or figure out that you need to add a feature or a limit switch or whatever it is. Those are the two big buckets that you put your time into. So, what types of projects will an intern or a young engineer work on? If I thought about this summer, what we'd be working on, the wide array of things you could be working on. So, it's 2023, and this summer we may be working on a therapy chamber. It's we just delivered the first or latest prototype, and then the next version we're trying to create the production version. So the frame needs a little bit of mechanical redesign. The control system, we're converting it to an industrial control system. We might need some application development for the user interface for a tablet. So maybe there's some iOS or Android app development. We haven't even gotten to the point where we know what those answers are. So those might be things for the summer. We have built a cart and track system that we implemented custom controls. We can motorize it and control the acceleration, control the steady state speed. We are trying to characterize exactly how accurate that speed is and where it can be used, where the track can be used. And it's a platform for holding sensors and actuators and things. And so it basically can be converted into holding lots of different things. So the motion control will be part of our work over the summer. We might be working on a inflatable system. It started out as balloon animals last summer and has been developed over the last, I guess, 6 months into various shapes and sizes. And I believe we're going to be improving the use and how we inflate those, and also the application, which we're not going to talk about today. So there's lots of things going on, and it's one of the best things about Root3 Labs that I love, that keeps me interested. It's all so different. So week to week, month to month, we have a wide variety of projects, and it's exciting. It keeps me very interested. I'm never bored. Some engineers want to know about what the growth plan is for engineers. So this is more specific to full-time hires, but the way I think about it, we want to turn our entry-level engineers into senior engineers. We don't have a lot of titles in between because it's too granular. and we don't want to get into all the little details of engineer 1, 2, 3, 4. But what we do is try to train our engineers to grow and learn. How do we put that into practice? So, for example, we have engineers working on projects, they're project managers and they're technical, and often they're not both. We most often don't have the technical engineering being performed by the project manager on the same project. They might be working on technical aspects on different projects. It just depends on the type of project that it is. However, what we do have is project managers can be anybody from senior engineers to entry level engineers. You get to manage a project, you'll get to manage a project that has another person on it, and you'll start out maybe a small project or one that's well defined. So it's not as uh, rife with potential issues. Maybe it's with a friendly project manager or client that we already have done a lot of work with, and maybe you've worked with them already, so you're familiar with them. So we'll train you in starting project management. We'll train you in working on all kinds of different aspects of the technical projects, so you can grow your skills both technically and also managerially. But we don't wait until you've been here for 5 years to start managing projects. You need practice and you need exposure to all the different aspects of it and all the mistakes that you'll make. It's not going to go exactly smoothly, and that's okay and that's expected. Things go wrong. It's product development. It's constantly you're constantly learning, and that's what's interesting about it. Are interns working collaboratively or by themselves? And do they get a mentor? So, yes, yes, and yes. Interns are working collaboratively on a team with other engineers. It's multidisciplinary, so you'll be working with mechanical, electrical, computer engineering, computer science. You might be working with all of them or one of them. It depends on the project. Everybody has a supervisor. Everybody has a mentor. They might be the same people, they might not be. Um, Everybody who comes in and works at Root3 Labs has a supervisor. That supervisor might be managing a project that you're working on or might not. Um, you can call on everybody else to be a mentor, to give you guidance, to help you with questions, to ask about career questions, to ask technical questions, to help solve problems or review an email to a client or a memo or a calculation or point you in the right direction if you don't know what vendor might be making the right microchip or motor controller or what type of motor controller should you even be looking at. Those kind of things. So there are open doors all around, and it's just up to taking advantage of it and making sure that you're looking around and listening, and so definitely you get a lot of exposure to senior staff who have years and decades of experience to learn from. Well, I hope that helps clarify some of the questions that I get about what it's like to work at Root3 Labs and why I think it's a great place to work, and our staff thinks it's a great place to work, and hopefully you think it's a great place to work one day. So um, reach out if you have any questions, and we look forward to reading applications and interviewing and learning more about you.